A young entrepreneur sets up a hot dog stand, but before he can sell one Polish sausage, the city shuts him down. Are we still a nation that lauds entrepreneurship? I'm Alan Barton. Stand by for Front Page. Joining me in studio, Yaron Brook, president of the Ayn Rand Center for Individual Rights, and Terry Jones, associate editor for Investors Business Daily. 13-year-old Nathan Dujinski secured the city permits to run his own hot dog stand in downtown Holland, Michigan. However, as he was about to open, the city informed him that he was in violation of the zoning law that bans mobile food trucks from downtown. All right, Terry, we'll lead off with you. You know, on the one hand, you say this is teed up to be like the perfect story for us. Here's this kid, he wants to be an entrepreneur. And on the other hand, these downtown businesses that have bricks and mortar, they pay the taxes. Yeah. They're corporate taxes that make the sidewalks and blah, blah, blah. These people come in, they don't pay any taxes. This kid comes into this mobile thing and affects traffic flow, affects foot traffic, steals business. What's your call here on it?
Well, they do have a, I mean.
That's why those zoning laws exist. I'm not saying this kid is a bad kid. I'm just saying that's why the laws exist.
They do have a beef on that level. They do have a beef. But look, this is plainly what's happening, and this is happening across the country. It's not just happening in this one city. It's happening here in Los Angeles. We've had this explosion of food trucks, and restaurants are up in arms over it because they don't want them being able to park on side streets and things like that without paying taxes. They say, well, we have to pay taxes. They're only paying taxes on what they sell. So, you know, this is an issue that's not going to go away. But the fact of the matter is, you know, this is a way of regulating entrepreneurship, and a lot of people want to get into the food business and they can't afford bricks and mortar. They can't afford, you know, a $200,000 lease or something like that, and this is the only way they can do it. And a lot of people want to eat. So, you know, I think the more supply there is, the more satisfied demand is, and right now this is the battle.
Yaron, what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, the solution is to get rid of the taxes on the restaurant owners rather than to restrict people from entering and competing with them. I mean, this is a classic cronyism, right? I mean, you're the established brand, you're established in the place, and you don't want a competitor, an entrepreneur to come in. I mean, you could. This is so applicable to so many other. I mean, think of Barnes & Noble and their bricks and mortar, and Borders and the bricks and mortar. How dare Amazon come on the internet and sell books, and they're not paying sales tax?
Well, but there, you know, but there's a differentiation just to make the argument. Yeah. You know, like you have these trucks, and some of them may or may not be to code. They may or may not be safe. And they're interrupting traffic flow. You have someone, you know, if you're running a Taco Bell or a Baja Fresh, and some guy in his taco stand wheels it up in front of your door and starts selling tacos.
Look, then there's property rights, right? You can't block traffic to a particular place. You can't obviously use somebody else's, you know, parking area. So there are property rights, and you know, part of the problem here is that, I mean, roads are public, and we don't have a clear understanding about how to use public space. But when it's clearly private property, it's not an issue. But you once you say this is you know, this is public property, yeah, they're going to have to be laws. But within the capacity of those laws, you can't just restrict everybody and say, even though you're not blocking traffic, you can't sell the product. That's purely just the cronyism to protect existing businesses.
Yeah, well, and there's also these laws sometimes inhibit you from parking for too long on private property. It's not about parking your truck on a sidewalk in front of a Baja Fresh. You could be in some private parking lot, and they still won't let you stay there.
Yeah, and they do regulate these things. And look, if you know, there are ways to get around this. Even if you don't buy the nobody should pay any taxes argument, there are ways to get around it, like, you know, taxing people on sales rather than on property or something like that. But the idea that, you know, you can just go in and tell somebody who's, you know, and by the way, this kid jumped through all the hoops. He got all.
Apparently, he did everything right, and also, you know, his parents are not in great health, so part of this is to help out the family. And here he is in 8th grade or something like that.
Put money away for his college.
Yeah, and trying to save up money. He saved up money to buy the stand. They saved up money to pay the fees and the permits. They really jumped through all the hoops. Yeah. So on that part of the story, you want to go like, oh man, let the kids sell the dang hot dog.
But you can't make an exception because the kid's parents are sick. I mean, the point is that you have to have a principle here, and the question is, should we allow entrepreneurs to be selling food in unconventional ways that clearly consumers want? And restaurants don't like it. They'll go out of business maybe, but that's capitalism. That's what freedom. And you know, there are cities out there, Houston's a good example, where they don't have zoning laws. And you know what? You know, I don't want to live in Houston because it's really hot and humid, but it functions without any zoning laws. And yes, you have different types of buildings coming up and popping up in all kinds of places, and vendors, God forbid, driving down the street and selling their stuff. I mean, and without government
there's
intervention.
this whole second economy that happens. I mean, like I have a building that I help run. I mean, there's a little storefront, and I'm thinking about, well, I wonder if I want to put a cafe there. But you know, the cafe would only be good if we could stay open until midnight because you got a lot of traffic there. You know, so I go to the city, $14,000 to apply.
To apply.
For the permit, not for the permit. To apply for the permit, and if you don't get it because the residents get to have their say, $14,000
Let's
gone.
remember what the role of government is. It's to protect individual rights. How does stopping this kid from selling his hot dogs protect individual rights? It doesn't, therefore they shouldn't be doing it. That we always, whenever we think of a government program, does it protect individual rights or is it actually violating those rights? That's the standard. This clearly violates this kid's rights. Get government out of the way.
All right, guys, for Terry and Your Own, I'm Alan Barton, and you've been watching Front Page.